What do you normally think about when you hear the word aquascape? Typically when people hear the word aquascape, they think about your jungle style aquarium that is beautiful in its own rights, but it doesn't have a lot of order or really a lot of thought made out to it. It's just a jungle style aquascape. In today's style video, I want to talk about a style of aquascaping called Iwagumi. Yes, it is a fun word to say, but Iwagumi was brought to us by someone called Takashi Amano. This was a very traditional style aquascape that is centered around the rocks and the carpeting plants. It is a very simple style aquascape from the looks of it, but when you really get into what an Iwagumi is, there's a lot of balance and harmony that has to be brought in from your rocks. And the rocks are one of your main sources of the Iwagumi. And I want to talk to you about my jade stones here. I've had these rocks sitting around in my fish room for a long time and never really knew what to do with it until I got this UNS 45S shallow tank. I've never accomplished a Iwagumi scape before, and I thought, these stones look so beautiful that I didn't want to cloud them with a whole lot of tall plants or wood or just lose how beautiful these are. So today we're going to be making an Iwagumi scape with our jade stone. This is going to be our main stone, and we're going to make a carpeted low-tech Iwagumi tank, and I'm very excited to bring you along today's journey of creating our own Iwagumi aquascape. So let's dive right in. So starting off with the Iwagumi aquascape, you really want to focus on creating a really good substrate system, because part of an Iwagumi is having a full carpeting plant, and you're going to need a place for beneficial bacteria, and you're going to need a lot of nutrients to keep your carpet lush and green. So starting off, I have some gravel down here that this is going to provide, space for beneficial bacteria to colonize and harbor. And just for extra nutrients, I'm going to be using some of this really enriched clay powder that's going to have a lot of good nutrients in it. I'm not going to be using a lot, but what I'm going to be doing is mixing probably a small handful of this with our gravel, pouring that at the base of our tank here, and then we're going to start pouring some aqua soil in. So let's get some shots of mixing this up and we'll get to pouring. So now that we have a small amount of the rocks and nice clay substrate, all I'm going to do is flatten it down. And this doesn't have to be over the entire base, but you definitely want to have it stretched out, so once the carpet starts to spread its roots out, it can find some of these nutrients. The carpeting plants will be getting most of the nutrients from our aqua soil, but this is just going to provide beneficial bacteria and also just long-term health for our plants. So that's looking really nice. Just make sure it's nice and pulled together here. Just like that. That is perfect. And now we can get onto our aqua soil. Since we are using a UNS tank, I really wanted to use the UNS contra soil, so let me grab that for you. If you're doing an Iwagumi along with me, I always recommend getting the fine, because the fine aqua soil is going to better hold your carpeting plants and lock it into place. There's a couple different sizes of contra soil. There is fine, medium, and I think it's called thick or large. The larger balls will allow way too much room for your plants to just get uprooted, and it won't lock in as well. So today we're just going to be using the fine. We're going to cut this open and pour some in here. And just so you can see what that looks like, that's all it is. And all aqua soil is pretty much all the nutrients your plants need to thrive, and they're in a slow release pebble form. And we're just gonna pour a decent layer in here, and then we're gonna start placing our main stone. So I'm gonna grab my little measuring cup, which is around here somewhere, maybe. Where'd we put that, Max? Ah. Thanks, Max. When you're pouring in your aqua soil and you have a base like this, you always want to start on the outside of it because it'll help lock in the rocks and make sure they don't go anywhere. All right, we're definitely going to be using more, but for now this is a great starting point. I'm just going to try to give us a nice flat base. My goal with the main stone is, since it's so large and just so pretty, I want to have some of it submerged above the water. And when you're looking at stones that you're going to be using for an Iwagumi, it's always good to use, you know, an odd number. You can use even, but for the stones that are really visible, you want to have an odd number, and you really want to focus on your golden ratio. And part of an Iwagumi is having your main stone off to the left or the right, because if we'll put up a golden ratio on the screen here, Max can help us out. You want to balance your rocks, and by doing so, you want to pick the side of your rock that is most pretty. So that one definitely is the prettiest. This is kind of a heavy rock. So that's nice there, but I think we would need a couple more inches of height. So what we're gonna do is take this out. This rock is a lot heavier than it looks. These jade stones are dense. That might be enough. So it looks like we have just enough coming out here. Something that I'd want to do is maybe tilt it a little bit here, but dig in the front. So if you can see what we did here, by pushing it back and digging the front part down, we're not only giving it some stability, but we're also giving it that front face. We're really showing it off on how pretty it is. And if you come around the back here, we can fill this up with aqua soil up to about here and here, and we can continue our carpet up. So we can really fill this in. Might be able to push it back some more. But we can really fill that in and have a carpet, you know, coming up here, and that'll look really pretty having our carpeted plants that close to the surface. And the next part of your Iwagumi scape is to take your second largest stone. So we have this guy right here, and what we're going to do is look for the side that has the most character. So you can see this side wouldn't work because that's just really flat. There's not a lot of detail. This side looks kind of intriguing, but again, the mix match of that wouldn't match the main stone. And if you turn it over to this side, that's a lot of detail. It might look messy right at the start, but having that in your Iwagumi scape is really going to bring it to life and make it look like a natural river. So what you want to do then is continue on the golden ratio and use this stone to accent that guy. So I think with the golden ratio, we might want to have this guy leaning over or backwards. Maybe all the way back, because if we have this all the way back, we can fill it up and then use one of our accent stones here. Let me see, I don't like that one. I really like this one. So if we do something like that and we lift this guy maybe even higher than our main stone, it'll bring us some balance. So, and this is where the complexity of an Iwagumi comes into play, is when you see these beautiful Iwagumi scapes that these professional aquascapers are doing, they take hours to place these stones. I'm definitely gonna take some time to place these correctly, but this is gonna be part of the process, is I'm gonna be just tinkering with these stones to see how they work. We might even be using this smaller one to really not lose focus. Like right away, that looks better, but this guy definitely needs some more height, just so we, you know, we have big, small, and big, medium, and small. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna move this guy out, move this guy out, and we're gonna add a lot more aqua soil. Okay, so I like the height. I think we might go a smidgen higher, but what I'm seeing now is if we look at this rock, it's kind of coming this direction with this pointing here. And this guy kind of has a shape that's pointing into the back here. So that's gonna give us kind of our, you know, look at the center, look at the golden ratio with everything, you know, this is pointing this way. So your eyes would look this way, and then this guy would make you look again back here. So, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna have just plants carpeting all around and back behind it. So I kind of like that, but I think this might need to be higher. What do you think, Max? Let's get Max's opinion on this, because he's getting into the hobby, whether he likes it or not.
Put it down again.
Yeah, look at it from right here. Get the camera right there.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good. A little higher?
Yeah.
Now, do you think it should be sticking out of the top, or just a little bit higher? Like just like maybe like right here?
I think right there.
Okay, so
think it needs to stick out.
Right under the surface?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that looks really good on camera too. Something, I think it was MD Fish Tanks. I watch his videos all the time, huge inspiration. He always said if you're in the middle of building a scape and you really want to frame it in, because when you're looking at it with your eyes are picking up everything around the tank. If you really want to get a good idea on how your tank's looking, pick out your phone or a camera, and it really frames what you are trying to see with little to no distractions. So right now I'm behind the camera and we're just taking a look at how this looks. I think we kept our direction, like our lines. I think this guy is still giving that point to the back, and this guy is still giving the curve this way. So now we need to get our third stone, which is going to be complete the, you know, the odds rule. Man, half of this tank is gonna be aqua soil. I love it. But I think this guy is gonna be just a bit too big.
I think you bury it. Whatever stone you put in there, you just bury it.
Okay, well if we bury...
Not like completely, but...
No, I see what you're saying. Which one do you think has a prettier...
Flat top.
A prettier top?
Bury this.
Okay.
Yeah, bury that portion.
Should we bury this facing the middle? Because this one's probably gonna be off center here.
Right.
So, or do we bury it this way?
I think...
This way?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think you were right, Max.
Nice.
That looks pretty good. How are we looking on camera? Yeah.
Like, try to, as weird as it sounds, try to like flatten that out right now too.
Yeah.
Get that even.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Looks pretty sweet. All right, so the last step, now that we have our stones placed, I just want to fill in this backside with aqua soil, so hopefully I don't spill and make a mess here. So what I'm trying to do with the aqua soil is kind of envision, let me get in here, I'm trying to envision what the plants are going to look like, because with Iwagumis we only have 2, maybe 3 things to give us our depth, to give us our height and look overall. So now that we have the rocks looking really good, we kind of have that 1, 2, 3 look, with all of them kind of giving you a slight point to the back, which is going to be our golden ratio. Next thing I want to do is add height. So what we're doing with the aqua soil is I think we're good on the front here, because this guy, if we went any higher, it would lose its impact. But what I want to do is add height to the back, so when these little areas are covered with that carpeting plant, it's really going to give you that, you know, low to high feel, and it's going to give you the depth within the golden ratio. So I almost think we're good. I don't want to add too much more, but I think this side could use a little bit more, because I want it to feel like these rocks have been sitting in a planted carpet in a river for a long time. So I just want to add some more on this side. I really like that. Yeah, I really like where we're at. I think all we're gonna do now, no, I don't think it needs, maybe a little bit more. We'll put a little bit more. Right here in this area. That kind of fills that in real nice. All right, so all in all, we are done setting up our Iwagumi scape. As you can tell, it didn't take that long. Obviously, with these stones, I've had these for a long time, and I've been eyeing them on what's their best side, how they would look, and obviously in a tank this small that's only about 5 gallons, you really don't have a lot of options, and it's pretty easy to make. But I think once we add plants to this, it's gonna look amazing. Talking about plants, I'm very excited. We're gonna be getting some pearlweed from Dustin's fish tanks. I love Dustin's videos on Facebook and Instagram. He's absolutely hilarious. So I'm really excited to try out some of his plants, and we're gonna be using pearlweed. Pearlweed is just like the name, it is a weed. It is a very beginner-friendly plant that doesn't need CO2. And with this tank being so small, we're not gonna have a filter on it. We're just gonna have a really good light on it. So I'm pretty sure that pearlweed is going to grow like an absolute weed and just fill this tank with a lot of growth. And with a pearlweed, you want to make sure it's trimmed, you know, every 2 to 3 weeks, because the lower you keep it, the more dense and carpeted it looks. So next up, we're going to get our pearlweed out and start planting. So I'm excited. We're going to clean up our mess and we'll get to planting. All right, well, you might notice I look a bit different. I think when I started this video, I had a beard, and now all of a sudden, halfway through, I look quite a bit different. That is because it's been about 2.5 months since Max and I started the Iwagumi scape, and my initial design for it was to order some pearlweed from Dustin's fish tanks and make this a little pearlweed garden. Reason being, pearlweed is a great plant for no filter and no CO2. But Arizona's weather had other plans for the shipment of pearlweed. The shipment unfortunately got held up at a shipping hub or whatever, and it was 115 degrees, 4 days of that plant sitting in 115 degree weather. Not good. Those plants came absolutely dead on arrival, but I just didn't want to discourage anyone from shopping with Dustin's fish tanks. Just be aware of the weather conditions of where you live and where you're ordering them, so you get them in good time. But not only that, I also had a baby. I had my little baby boy. He came to us on August 6th. He is amazing and wonderful, but obviously with having a baby, a lot of my fish tank projects kind of had to go on pause just so I could figure out how to be a dad and be supportive to my wife while we figure out how to raise a little baby. But he's 2 months old now, and we're finally at the point where I can jump back in. And Max and I thought, you know, why not finish our Iwagumi tank since we already have half the video made. And what I went ahead and did was I went to Aquarium Arts to get some cultured plants, and we got some Cuba, and we also got some, I believe, a version of pearlweed. And you might be thinking, why are you doing 2 carpeting plants for 1 tank? Some people that I've seen do a carpeted tank, when you have 2 different plant textures, they kind of merge together and make it look really natural and just like it's out of a pond in nature. So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. We're gonna finish up this scape, make it look beautiful. We're going to show you how I take cultured plants out of their cups, clean them up, get them in little bunches, and we're gonna do a planting session. And once we're done planting, we'll come back, fill it up with water, give you some cool shots, my final thoughts of my first actual Iwagumi scape. It's still hard for me to say that word. I hope I'm saying it right. But yeah, let's get into some planting, fill it up, and see how it looks. All right, so for the plants for the Iwagumi scape, we're gonna be using these 2, and I am not going to butcher how you say these. I don't know if the camera's focusing on them, but basically one is going to be a pearlweed variant and the other is going to be a Monte Carlo Cuba variant. So let's see if Max gives me the thumbs up on focus here. Yeah, focusing on that one. This is going to be the pearlweed variant. These ones will grow more vertical, but if you keep them nice and trimmed down, they carpet very nicely. So that's gonna be one type of plant. And then we have the other one here. This is going to be a version of a Cuba. Let's see here if we can get it focused. Beautiful, Max is giving me the thumbs up there. This is going to be a version of a Cuba, and Cuba for me, the reason I'm going with this plant is this is the first plant that I ever had carpet on its own with no CO2. And funny enough, it was like the 3rd tank that I ever set up, and I really hope we can have success with it again. I am not, you know, I won't be upset if this tank doesn't carpet the way I'm hoping for it. This is kind of an experiment since there's no filter, there's gonna be no CO2. But one of the biggest aspects for having a carpeted plant is to have extremely high light and good quality light. And we have the ONF Flat Nano Plus, which is one of the best lights. So we're gonna be using that on full power and hopefully she works. But I just wanted to break these 2 cups down to show you how I do it. And then the rest of them, we have 7 cups. We'll just put a quick time lapse on there. What is this called? Cultured cup plants can sometimes seem a little intimidating because of how they're grown. These are grown in a lab with gel right here, and this has all the nutrients in it, and they grow immersed in the cup. So when you get these, you're like, what do I do with this gel, and how do I deal with immersed grown plants? With the gel part, you're going to take the plant, and you're just gonna submerge it in water. Preferably you wanna use RO water, or you just wanna use tap water with some conditioner in it so it doesn't shock the plant. But you're just gonna set it in here and you're just gonna start, you know, getting your hands dirty and rubbing some of that gel off nice and delicately. You don't wanna be super aggressive with it. But yeah, cultured lab-grown plants can be really good, but they also can be very, very finicky for that first day or 2 that they're in your tank. So you just wanna keep an eye on them, make sure your water's good, make sure your tank's set up properly, and they should work good for you. But all we're gonna do is just keep, if you see here, I'm just kinda using my fingers, and I'm just kinda gently tapping the bottom, moving it around, and you can see the water is turning that gel brown color. That's exactly what we want. Just wanna be gentle with them, give them a little shake. And then what we're gonna do is once this is all off, the gel will kind of just dissolve away from the plants. And if you don't get 100% of it off, not the end of the world, but you definitely wanna try your best with it. So now you can see the roots here. What we're gonna do is move our little bucket here. And this is pretty important. You want to get your fingers in here and pick out bunches that you're gonna be planting. So we're gonna separate this as best we can. So if we see this right here, we're just gonna pinch it off. That right there is a pretty good bunch. See if we get the thumbs up from Max. They're beautiful. So that's gonna be a pretty good bunch, maybe a little big, but the idea here is to look at the roots part where it's a little bit blacker, and you're gonna make sure there's not a lot of gel on there, make sure there's nothing, you know, standing out. Like these right here are just pretty much dead, so we can clip those off. But you just wanna get it into a nice little bunch so that when you go to plant, you can just have these nice little pre-made bunches on your planting mat. It just makes the planting part fly by. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Looks like the cat's getting fed right now. So yeah, right now we're just gonna try to snap off little tiny bunches. You will have to snap them off, but don't worry, you're not hurting the plant. And like right here, this one has a little bit of gel left on it. That's probably gonna be impossible to see on the camera, but all you can do is hold the bunch in your hand and just give it a little shake like this. And that'll get any remaining gel off of there. And then we're just gonna pop this back on our mat. Same thing with any cultured plant. So now, Max, hit the speed up, and we'll see you in about 20 minutes once all these are broken down. All right, just to save time and kind of make this process go a little bit faster so I can get to the baby who is needing some food right now, Max has volunteered to help get his hands wet and dirty to help make us some plant clumps. We're moving right along with these, but what we're gonna do is kind of have a little station going. Max is gonna be breaking these down, and I am gonna be using some planting tweezers to plant our plants in here. The only thing I really wanted to talk about with planting in a tank with just pure aqua soil is get yourself some water and fill up, not to where the water is over your soil line, but just fill up a decent amount and get the top layer wet. That's just gonna help stick that aqua soil together. And when you're planting these down, it's going to give it a good hold. So that's pretty much what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take some of this water over here that I filled up way too high, and we're gonna gently pour this in. All right, so Max and I just finished taking all the plants out and planting them. It looks amazing. So right now what we're gonna do is I filled up this canteen full of water from my other planted tank that I know is a good hardness. And basically the reason we're doing it is for the hardness and then beneficial bacteria. So I am going to slowly fill this tank up, and hopefully we don't see all of the plants come rushing up. But yeah, fingers crossed, it looks good and this grows really well. So I think we're just gonna pour it on a rock, and hopefully that'll slowly diffuse it. We'll probably need 3 of these blue buckets, maybe less because I'm not accounting for all the soil. Hopefully it's not too cloudy. It'll probably be a little cloudy, but once it's simmered down, we'll get some good B-roll shots for you. So far, the first couple plants are staying put. Has to be a pretty cool shot.
It's kind of blurry, but
Kind of blurry, we'll take it. At this stage, you just want to dump the water in, but you got to stay patient, which is not my strong suit, but we're going to do it. We lost our patience, and I tried pouring it in a little too fast, and now we have a big hole. So we're going to try to fix this up. We going? We live?
we're live.
All right, I got to remember, this is a calm video. Tank looks amazing. I love it. I lost a little bit of my patience and I just tried to pour some water in, as you just saw, and I messed up the front, but we were able to kind of fix it up. Eventually you won't see that, hopefully, as long as they carpet properly. This is about as high as I am comfortable with filling it. So right now we're gonna use some API Quick Start, shake this up. This is about 5 gallons of water, so 10 mils per 10 gallons. So we're gonna do 5 mils. Let's pour that in. A little extra for good luck. Maybe a little extra more, just to be cautious. Boom. And then, if I have a little net, I do have a little net. Everything's all organized in the new room. So we're gonna take this little guy. Just get any stragglers. No, you're good. Get any stragglers here. When you're planting these carpeting type plants, a lot of the little limbs and branches are going to fall off. You want to make sure you get them, because all it's going to do is they're just going to die off and cause a bunch of nutrients you don't want. So we're just going to do our best. All right, well, after about 2 months of planning this, thinking about this tank, having a baby, we're finally done with my very first traditional style Iwagumi setup. I know I'm still saying that wrong, but I like saying it. I think it came out beautifully. Using the 2 different plant combos worked out wonderfully, and the way that I positioned these rocks came out just how I wanted it. There's kind of like this open ground here, and it slopes up to the back, and it kind of has that golden ratio thing that we talked about earlier in the video. But overall, absolutely love this one. I appreciate all you guys for watching my videos. I know recently I haven't been putting out a lot, and probably in the near future there won't be that many videos. Just give me time. Just got to figure out how to be a dad. I want to prioritize that little kiddo out there because he's amazing. But I'm not going to be stopping the fish room. It's just going to be slowing down a little bit. And if you watch the video of us setting up this fish room, that was kind of the goal, is I want to set up tanks with a purpose and really plan them out and make them amazing, just like the ones we already have here, like the Paludarium and now this Iwagumi setup. I just want to take our time and do them right and show you guys some really nice tanks that are almost at that gallery level. I know I'm not a professional, I'm just a fun aquascaping hobbyist enthusiast, but I appreciate all you guys for hanging around, watching my videos. Give this a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to watch some awesome videos. I have a bunch of videos on my channel in playlist format, so if you need some extra Trev's tanks in your life, they are there for you. But hopefully, you know, maybe every month or so we'll get a video out to you, and I appreciate you guys as always. You know, have a great day, great night, wherever you are. Be safe out there and stay positive, everybody.